Sevierville has been building fewer than 20 single-family homes a year. Not 20,000, not 2,000, 20. That's not my number. That's the city's own development director, Corey Dybel, saying it out loud in a public meeting back in May. His words were, I think in Sevierville we've averaged probably less than 20 single-family homes a year in the last several years. There's a huge housing deficit. Now here's the number that sits right next to it. The Knoxville Regional Transportation Planning Organization projects Sevier County employment will grow 61% over the next 25 years. 61% more jobs. 20 houses a year. Hold those two numbers next to each other for a second. Because almost every argument happening in this country right now about traffic, about development, about whether we're growing too fast or not fast enough is really an argument about the gap between them. And almost nobody is talking about it that way. Here's what I think is actually going on, and I'll walk you through the evidence. Sevier County does not have a growth problem. I know it, you know it, everybody around knows it. It's a sequencing problem. The fight that's been playing out in Sevierville for the last 2 years, the one you've seen in the news, the one with the packed council rooms, it was never really about whether this county should grow. Both sides know and agree it's going to. It's inevitable. The fight was about the order of operations. Who builds the roads and when? Who pays for that traffic light? Do the units come first, or does the infrastructure come first? That's a process argument. And it got reported as a growth argument, which is why a lot of people, including a lot of investors, are drawing the wrong conclusion about what it means for this market. Let's start with the 20. Fewer than 20 single-family homes a year for several years. In the county seat with the third largest tourism economy in Tennessee. Think about what that actually means. Almost everything you see for sale in the area right now is resale inventory. We have not been meaningfully adding to the housing stock. We've been trading the stock we already have. And that reframes a number I've been watching all year. At the time I ran these numbers, a few days ago, there were about 1,520 active single-family listings in Sevier County. The absorption rate was running right around 11 and a half months. If you don't have the context, that sounds like a soft market. 11 months of supply sounds like we got a market in trouble. Look at what's underneath it. Sales in June, 166. Last June, 129. It's up about 24%. Pendings, deals under contract right now. The closest thing we have to a windshield instead of a rearview mirror. 171 against 114 last June. That's up 50%. Got a median sales price of $455,000, up from $425,000 last year. That's up 7%. Here's the cool thing though. The median days on market is 45 days. It's exactly the same as last year. Sell to original list price, 93.6. Last year, 93.5. So we're selling more homes at higher prices, and the deals that close are closing just as fast as they did a year ago. In a county that isn't building anything. That 11-month number isn't measuring a demand shortage. It's measuring a pricing spread inside a fixed pool of existing houses. The median list price on active inventory is about $575,000. The median sales price around $455,000. That's about a $120,000 gap between what's being asked and what people are paying. Half this market is priced where buyers actually are, and it moves in about 45 days. The other half is priced somewhere else, typically sits. You average those two together and you get about 11 and a half months of something that was never really for sale. That's today. Now add 61% more jobs. Let me be careful here, because I want to be honest about what this number is and what it isn't. It's a projection. 25 years out from the Knoxville Regional Transportation Planning Organization, nobody knows the future. And I'm not going to pretend that a model does. I do projections all the time. It's simply all it is. It's just financial modeling. What do we feel like it can do based off historical data? But a projection like that isn't a wish. It's built on what's already in motion. The employment base, visitation, the development pipeline, corridor capacity, and directionally it lines up with everything else we can actually observe. Hope y'all like the cuckoo clock in the background. Love my cuckoo clocks. $3.9 billion, dollars in visitor spending in this county in 2024. Third out of 95 Tennessee counties, behind Nashville and Memphis. And that's the entire list. 26,564 jobs supported directly by that spending, and 11.5 million visits to the national park. And that's probably going to grow. And here's the one that explains why this county works the way it does. Without the tax revenue tourism generates, every household in Sevier County would pay about $11,191 more in state and local taxes every single year. That's the engine. It's real, it's measured, and it's been running for decades. Now, every one of those jobs is a person, and every person needs somewhere to live. You can't add 61% more employment to a county that builds 20 houses a year and expect the math to work itself out. Something has to give. Something always gives. The only question is what? That's what brings me to the thing everybody in this county has been arguing about lately. DR Horton, Red Bank Road. Let me give you the real timeline, because the version most people have heard got compressed into a headline. July 2025. The Sevierville Planning Commission lets DR Horton keep exploring a 400-acre proposal. 1,250 single-family and duplex homes across 200 acres, with 200 acres left as open space. The vehicle is a Master Plan Development Classification, MPD. It's a tool that lets the city attach special conditions to a project. October 2025, the Planning Commission votes 6-1 to deny the MPD, or the Master Plan rezoning. Now pay attention to the one vote in favor, because I think it's the most important thing anybody said in this entire story. Chairman Vincent Snyder explained why he voted yes. He said the Master Plan rezoning, his words, gave us control, gave us the opportunity to break it into phases, gave us the opportunity to address infrastructure needs as they kept on presenting themselves, instead of having a whole big mess all at once. He wasn't arguing for more houses. He was arguing for a mechanism. The rezoning got denied. Here's what happened next. May 2026. The first phase gets preliminary approval as a PUD. 28 duplexes, 195 homes, 223 units in medium density residential zone on the east side of the city near Pittman Center Road. Not because the city changed its mind, because that zoning was already there. The property, it was annexed. It was annexed back in 2008. 18 years ago. The development rights already existed. Mayor Robbie Fox said it about as plainly as an elected official can say anything. Quote, "Had we been able to leave it the way we proposed it on the front end, we would have much more control over what is going to take place. We would have had more control over the intersections. We would have had more control over the traffic light. And furthermore, the people who are D.R. Horton or whichever company comes in up there would have had to have paid for those things." And then this, I can't see a way around it. I can't see a means by which we can say no without getting sued. At this point, D.R. Horton needs a state environmental permit from TDEC and a city land disturbance permit. That's it. No more approvals from the city. I want to be fair to the people who oppose this because their concerns are not unreasonable, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Red Bank Road, it's a 2-lane road. The county fire chief, the sheriff, the EMS director, they all raised concerns about safety back in March. Sevier County Mayor Larry Waters wrote the city and said the county would not support a connector to Bordley Hills Boulevard. Residents filled those meetings. There's an organized opposition group. These are people who live there, and Emergency Act says it's a legitimate thing to care about. But look at what actually happened. The denial didn't stop the units. It removed the conditions. The MPD tool that got voted down in October, that was a last phasing mechanism. It was a thing that would have let the city sequence infrastructure against construction and put the cost of the intersections and the traffic light on the developer. Without it, the units proceed under zoning that's been on the books since 2008, and that leverage is gone. That's not a growth outcome. That's a sequencing outcome. And it's the pattern I want you to see, because it's not unique to Red Bank Road. Growth doesn't ask permission. It's a function of jobs and demand, and both of those are already here. $3.9 billion a year of demand and a projection for 61% more employment. What a community actually controls isn't whether it happens, it's the terms of how it happens. And by the time a project shows up in a headline, the terms were usually set years earlier. In this case, 2008. So if the terms get set years before anyone notices, where do you look? Same place I look every month. Not the news, the agendas. Here's what's in the record right now across this region. And almost none of it made a front page. Sevierville relocated a section of Red Bank Road out of the floodplain. Over 2,000 feet of that roadway was sitting in a hazard area. The city approved a land swap to move it, straighten it, and widen it to modern standards. Public Works Director Doug Tarwater asked, "Why now?" Said this, "We're hearing whims of a development proposed next door." That's the whole lesson in one sentence. The road moved before the houses arrived. Let's keep going. Pigeon Forge. Rusty Gap rezoning from R1 to R2 near Covered Bridge Resort. A Husky Street traffic study. Riverwalk repaving near the island in the LeConte Center. An FTA and TDOT trolley grant. TDOT announced Parkway repaving. County planning in June. an 11-unit PUD on Grassy Branch Road. The Underwood Farms 6-lot subdivision. Merle View final plat. More R1 to R2 rezoning. Cross County line of Jefferson County. Hillside Drive annexation advancing. A HART grant. Water and sewer rate revisions. A KUB booster pump. Water treatment engineering services. An 82-acre concept with 14 5-acre tracts. Creekside Phase 3 final. Did you hear that list? Do you notice what most of it is made of? Roads, water, sewer, traffic studies, pumps. There's nothing glamorous in that list. It's also exactly what has to exist before a single person can live somewhere. Infrastructure is the leading indicator. Rezoning is in the middle. And then we get construction. That's the lagging indicator. That's the big billboard. That's the one everybody sees. It's the last thing that happens. And it's the only one most people are watching. If you're buying, understand what you're standing in. 1,500 homes on the market. Sellers more realistic than they were a year ago. But underneath that, a county that's been building 20 houses a year with a projection for 61% more jobs. The choice you have right now is real. It's also not a permanent feature of this market. If you're selling, 24% more homes sold in this county last month than the same month a year ago. At 7% higher prices in the same 45-day average days on market span. Nothing about that says weak. If your home isn't moving, the market isn't the reason. 45 days at 93.6% of lists is sitting there waiting for properties that are positioned correctly. Don't forget that median gap between ask and sell. That's where you get the lagging properties. If you're an investor or developing, here's the part I'd underline. The value in this market over the next decade gets created by people who understand entitlement, access, and utility capacity. Not by people who understand comps. Red Bank Road was decided by a zoning designation from 2008. The next one is being decided right now in a room with 11 people in it, no camera. And if you just live here, I get the frustration. Traffic is real. 2-lane roads carry more than they were built for is real. But growth was never the variable. Sequencing is. And sequencing gets decided in meetings that are open to the public. They're almost always empty. This is exactly what goes into the Smoky Mountain Investor Report every month that I create. I work a month in arrears on purpose. So I've got the closed MLS numbers and the actual minutes from the city and county meetings, instead of the rumor about what might have happened. Housing data, tourism demand, planning activity, planning and zoning, and infrastructure. Sevier and Jefferson County, one place. It's free. I got a link in the description. 20 houses a year. 61% more jobs. Everything happening in this county right now, the packed meeting rooms, the arguments over Red Bank Road, the traffic, the inventory, the prices, it's all happening in the space in between those two numbers. And here's the part that I keep coming back to. Red Bank Road wasn't decided in May. It wasn't decided last October. It was decided way back in 2008 when somebody annexed a piece of property and assigned it a zoning designation, and almost no one was in the room. Somewhere in this county, this month, in a meeting, nobody attended, somebody is deciding what 2044 looks like. And that's a strong reality. That's where the market gets made, not in the headlines, in the minutes. My name is Brandon Williams, and this is Scale. I'm also the principal broker of Severe LPT Realty, and I've been licensed since 2007. During that time that I've been in real estate, I've worked across residential, investment, land, and development throughout the Southeast. This is Scale. It's where we break down real estate, business, strategy, and market psychology through a more analytical lens so people can make stronger decisions in a constantly changing environment. If you'd like additional information about anything that's going on in the county, contact me. My number is 865-806-9005. Website is scale-group.net. My email is brandon@scale-group.net. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please subscribe and follow along. And always comment, let me know your thoughts. I hope you have a blessed day, and I look forward to the next episode.